Movie mistakes you probably never noticed. First, in Harry Potter, it's always mentioned that the character has green eyes, just like his mother. But the actress who plays young Lily Potter clearly has brown eyes, a simple detail that completely slipped past the production. Second, a completely out-of-place painting shows up in Dallas Buyers Club. Since the movie takes place in 1985, there's no way a painting of a Lamborghini Aventador should be there. The car was released more than 20 years later. Third, in Troy, everything seems perfectly set in ancient times, until an airplane flies across the sky in the background. Nothing like a modern aircraft to break the immersion of ancient history. Fourth, but nothing beats the gasoline tank that shows up in Gladiator, a movie set in ancient Rome. To make it even worse, you can also spot a crew member wearing jeans in the background. The director didn't notice, the editors didn't notice, and the mistake made it to the final cut. Fifth, in Django Unchained, Jamie Foxx wears a stylish pair of sunglasses, except for one issue. The story takes place in 1858, and sunglasses wouldn't appear in the United States until many decades later. How old were you when you found this out? Part 3. First of all, how old were you when you learned that a giraffe's tongue is dark purple, almost black, and that a hippopotamus's sweat is red, which incredibly works as a natural sunscreen for them? Secondly, on the other hand, how old were you when you discovered that the University of Oxford is actually older than the Aztec Empire? Third, how old were you when you found out that the scientific name of the striped skunk is Mephitis mephitis, which means stinky skunk in Latin? Fourth, how old were you when you discovered that the smell of freshly cut grass is actually a distress signal released by the plants? So if you like that smell, you enjoy the suffering of these living beings. Fifth, on the other hand, how old were you when you found out that only female wasps have stingers? Sixth, how old were you when you learned that the man who invented the Pringles can is actually buried in one of them? And finally, how old were you when you found out that the sound velociraptors make in the movie Jurassic Park is actually the sound of turtles doing that? Amazing discoveries made by kids. First, a 15-year-old Canadian girl was tired of constantly replacing flashlight batteries. Looking for a solution, she created a flashlight that works using the heat from her own hand, completely eliminating the need for batteries. Second, a 10-year-old boy named Ryan Cook noticed something strange inside his school. An unknown man walking around the building. No teacher had noticed. The police asked him to draw the suspect, and even though the sketch was simple, it helped them identify and capture the intruder. Third, the swimming fins used to help people move faster in the water were invented by a 12-year-old boy who wanted to improve his swimming. That boy was none other than Benjamin Franklin. Fourth, the famous whoopee cushion used for pranks was invented by a 14-year-old teenager who originally created it just as a joke. Fifth, many years ago, a 16-year-old boy who worked at a circus noticed how acrobats practiced by falling into safety nets. Inspired by this, he created a device that allowed controlled jumping. That idea eventually led to the invention of the trampoline.